When we merged agencies, we merged at what, I don't even know exactly the point we're at, but it's probably like 40K a month revenue or something like that. It's the consistency over a lot of time. We haven't gone a day without reaching out to 200 businesses in months.
Yeah.
I think we're doing 400 a day.
And that's just to sustain an agency that's doing over 100K a month as well. Like that's the level that we're talking. We tailor those emails on a month-to-month basis based on
what's
economics, media, news, all these kind of Black Friday. We launched an email for Black Friday a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, 10% response rate.
10%.
And when was the last time we did an actual YouTube video? Let me just have a look at that actually. 2 years ago, there we are, okay. 2 years ago, December 2019. Oh, knocked the table over.
Fucking hell.
December 2019, that's the last time we recorded an update on YouTube. So
We're overdue, aren't we, really?
It's been a long time. A lot has happened in that time.
We're overdue a bloody cash up.
Yeah, we just haven't spoke since December last year. Where were we at? December when we last had a video, we literally merged the agencies.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we brought both of our agencies together, didn't we? And then it's interesting to see how much our individual involvement with the agencies like changed over that time. Yeah. Because obviously there's so many more team members now, and
well, backstory: we went from running our own agencies and you loving, by the way, guys, if you don't know Joe, this is Joe, my partner in crime, that owns 50% of the agency. He absolutely nails it. Basically, our COO, CMO for the last couple of years, and just responsible for so much scale in the business. And when we first met, I was just creating YouTube videos very early in my journey. You reached out to me.
Yeah.
Told me my intro was shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I was doing your YouTube videos for a while, wasn't I?
Editing, recording.
Now, ironically, it's the other way around.
It's me setting up a camera for you today. Yeah. So, but when we collided, you were in this position in your agency where you didn't want to really be doing any sales anymore.
Yep.
I was kind of in a position when I was going and battling through different ad specialists and people over in the Philippines, and it was just a mess as far as client delivery was concerned. You were a wizard, and it just made sense for us to end up merging agencies.
Yeah, exactly. And you're so right, actually, because it's like both of our superpowers really, I guess our estimations were right, mixing those two things, because if you think about it, an agency really is just new clients and service delivery. If you get those two things right, it really fucking did start to work, didn't it? So that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's been a ride, hasn't it? It's been a real ride. When we merged agencies, we merged at what? I don't even know exactly the point we're at, but it's probably like 40K a month revenue or something like that combined. And then we had a whirlwind of scaling the agency up, kind of going crazy with different services. We were just offering Facebook ads at the start, and then we started offering email marketing and TikTok and so on. And at the start of this year, some of you who have watched any of the videos, we made a pledge that we wanted to scale the agency to $1 million a month. We're like, let's scale this thing. I remember this exact hotel that we're sat in today. Every quarter, me and Joe meet up and we get together and we make a plan for the next quarter to like get our heads together and make sure we're on the same page. January this year, we were like, let's scale to $1 million a month. We did that and got to close to 200K, and then wrote out the team plan, and we're like, wow, this is really going to be a stressful business.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not going to be fun.
High complexity.
Massively.
Major time commitment, like 5, 6, 7 year plus time commitment for that kind of plan. And I think we just realised, although and it's not possible to scale an agency to that figure, but it's like, well, what's the purpose of the business? And I think we really had to draw it back to that, because like, why are we actually doing this? Is it so we can run an agency for the rest of our lives, or is it so we can use it for leverage for something else? And I think we just basically came to the conclusion that it may not be the right thing to do.
Well, realistically, we both, and everybody or not everybody, but the majority of people that start an agency because it's an excellent gateway business. It's an exceptional business to get you off the ground when you don't have any other business experience. You're literally offering a service to someone that you can learn relatively easily. But when we got into it, we both wanted freedom, right? We wanted financial and time freedom. In scaling to $1 million a month and going along that, we realized it was we were trying to lean down as much as possible, and it was looking like a 25-man team. I think we drilled it down to. And the management and the stress that comes with managing that level of clients, it just goes against the whole reason why we started this business in the first place.
Absolutely.
And I think really over the last 12 months, that's just changed to wanting to, if anything, reverse engineer the initial Q1 plan. And the whole of this year has not actually been about scaling revenue. It's been maintaining that over 100K a month point, but minimizing complexity and stress.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Systemizing so much to the point where it's like, actually, if we wanted to, we could leave this alone. It's like we have it's almost like we have the control button of like, I don't have to like work my fucking arse off 12 hours a day again just to maintain that level of scale. But it's like putting the systems and the right people and the right incentives in place that can happen without you necessarily being there having to fucking grind your arse off on a daily basis, basically. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
What would you say are some of the biggest things from your side that you learned from that process of minimizing stress and kind of almost downscaling the agency as far as complexity was concerned?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. So I had a look at quite a lot of structural agencies and I had a look at a lot of agencies and the way that they're structured. And basically, the way I see it, you've kind of got a couple of options with agencies. You've kind of got the option one, which is with the one we could have done where you scale up to $1 million a month. And basically, that's extremely high retainers for all your clients. And basically, there's a lot of complexity and a lot of levels of stress and a lot of people that are involved in it. Or there's this other way, which we're kind of leaning into a little bit more now, which is like, really kind of like a lot more aggressive kind of like client deals, bigger potential commission payouts for the clients that we're working with, lower overheads in terms of number of team members, all the rest of it, and just the ability to be opportunistic in a business that's not going to completely stress you out and you don't have to build systems for 5, 6, 7, 10 years in advance, basically. So we've kind of like really like pulled it back to, I guess maybe about a year ago when we were just being like super focused on like one platform and we had super aggressive commission deals with the clients that we're working with, and we could afford to do that because we knew that we were going to scale them up to this particular level. And it wasn't like tying big brands into like massive retainers of like 15,000 a month. It's like keeping that low retainer model but having a really nice percentage commission structure on the back end so that when we do scale those clients up, we get fat, extremely profitable checks through on a monthly basis by just being opportunistic to helping brands that are about to explode and helping brands that are coming into their seasonality and all the rest of it. So
it's such a good point. I think we always thought, and at the start of this year, because we found it, we tapped into a niche at the end of last year that just blew up, didn't it? We stacked an additional 100K in revenue on the business like that, right? It was just, we signed up, we monopolized in sub-industry, which I'm not going to go into right now because we've actually managed to kind of regain that strength in that industry, actually. But in doing that, we thought, okay, how can we keep these clients? How can we make sure these clients never leave us? How can we make sure they don't go to another agency? And we thought the best thing to do was stack services.
Yeah.
Let's do TikTok as that. Let's do email. Let's do copywriting. Let's do content creation. Let's do all these things for the client. And then February came and we got slapped in the face by a 50 grand a month client leaving us.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were like, what the fuck have we been doing?
Exactly.
Building out this team, building all this infrastructure to keep clients on all these different services when they can still leave just like that.
Exactly.
And I think that for us, then obviously, like our profit margins diminished and building out all of that just didn't make any sense. So we've really taken a complete U-turn this year in scrapping every advertising platform that we run ads on, in doing email marketing, in doing copywriting, scrapping every service and going right back down to Facebook ads.
Yeah, exactly.
Which so far it's just been so much better.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a stigma, especially in the e-com brand kind of world. There's a stigma that Facebook ads are dead. And now they're only dead if you don't put your full attention into that one platform and mastering that particular skill. Facebook ads are still responsible for like 70% of e-com advertising spend. Yeah. So it's like that's still very much a cornerstone of brands fucking advertising, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we were spreading ourselves so thin, trying to pick up this, trying to pick up that, because we're like, oh god, Facebook, all this kind of like fear in the marketplace. We stripped it right back and just became true masters in that one thing again. And then as soon as we shifted our focus to that, guess what? Facebook ads starting to improve because it's going to happen because like you've got your entire team dedicated to mastering that one channel again. We've had an easier life because we're not managing loads of different ad platforms. We've had a much more streamlined and kind of like systemized service offering. So all the team members know what they're doing to basically aid that one platform they're running ads on. There's less stress in the company. There's less kind of like battles with client negotiations because it literally is like this is the retainer and that's the percentage. And also it's the ability as well. Now we've been able to partnership with other agencies like email marketing agencies, like Google Ads agencies, make strategic partnerships with those other agencies that are masters in their field to basically aid these brands.
Yeah.
And it's just been,
That's a big point.
Difference.
And I've been ramming this point down people's throat a lot recently and saying, trust me on this, we did the complex service offering. And I see so many agencies at the danger of overcomplicating themselves. I think you were there on the Q&A that we did like 2 weeks ago. It may have been last week. Someone jumped on. It was great. They were like, Jordan, I've signed my first 2 clients. They're at $3K a month. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then he was like, well, Jordan, I don't have time for to sell anymore. What do I do? And I was like, hang on a second, this doesn't add up. You've got 2 clients and you don't have time to sell. What have you offered the client? I kid you not, he said, I don't even know this. He said SEO, Facebook ads, Google ads, copywriting, and blog writing.
Oh my gosh.
For 2 clients, he signed them up on the same deal. And I was like, mate, you're literally going to have to get rid of one of those clients. You just need to get rid of a client so you can start selling again because you can't downsell them. We've already promised them the world, so they're already expecting everything. They're not going to go down to one service.
Yeah, exactly.
And so many agencies, they try and scale horizontally through additional services, whereas it doesn't matter if it's Facebook ads, because I'm not saying, Facebook ads is the only thing that you should do.
Of course,
It could be email, it could be copywriting, it could be SEO, whatever that is. But my belief, or at least, correct me if I'm wrong, our combined belief now is do one thing and do it fucking well.
At the end of the day, the client doesn't matter, truly doesn't matter, as long as there's 2 things. You have a good relationship with them, you're friendly to them, and you treat your clients like your best fucking mate, and you're making them money. That's literally it.
That's the only thing they care about.
And it's like, if you have a methodology with one platform to be able to take a business from here and take them to there, with just focusing on one thing and doing it really fucking well, then what's the problem? Do you know what I mean?
There are so many things. I actually made a video yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. I was talking about some of the most current services right now. And I was looking into CRO, conversion rate optimization, which is essentially like, it's optimizing landing pages and websites, product pages, making sure there's reviews and the right apps and so on are used on there. And that in itself, there's so many services that can be so valuable to clients. If a business is getting £100 average order value, and they've got 100,000 visitors to their website every month, they've got an average 2% conversion rate, pretty low, right? And that means they're making $200,000 every single month from those 100,000 visitors. If you increase their conversion rate by 1%, it's an extra 100K every month, an extra 1.2 million every year from a 1% increase. There are so many services that you can offer, and if you just do one thing, but I guarantee if you're an agency that does CRO, email marketing, all that stuff like we did, you're going to do it half-assed.
Exactly.
And then your team actually end up leaning on other services. They're like, oh, well, it's because the TikTok ads aren't working. It's because the email ads aren't working.
Exactly,
You know, email ads, you know?
Yeah, they're not owning the responsibility
of the one thing.
Of the one thing that they have to manage and they're being held responsible for.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It's hard. I'll tell you what, it's actually hard, wasn't it, to go from full stack to a single thing again, because we were thinking, we're going to miss out on all these great opportunities, but at the end of the day, there's opportunity everywhere. You just need to find the right client. Like, that's what it really comes down to.
A lot of people say, Jordan, if I do that, I'm going to turn down loads of clients. Well, you're not, because you just need to find strategic partners who you can offer and farm out that work to, who you trust. And I guarantee they're going to do a better job than you will. So your clients will be happy, and then they'll be happy, and they're going to give you referrals. So you'll actually make way more money in the long run by leveraging someone else's service, because they'll trust you, and then they'll give you clients, just like we've got with so many of our strategic partnerships now.
Yeah.
But this isn't this is just kind of one part of it. It's kind of our side of it. You've had some big battles internally with us trying to figure out how we can progress the business forward and hiring the big strategic roles in the company as well, haven't we? Because you've been playing COO, CMO, I've been CEO, but we've kind of propelled and expedited team members that are in the team right now into that kind of process, which hasn't come without its difficulties, has it?
Of course not. I mean, when it comes to hiring, especially for big roles like CMO, that is a huge role to hire for. There's a huge, very, very difficult role to hire for. And if you don't put kind of like the proper contracts and stipulations and incentivizations in place for somebody to actually thrive in that role, you can't really be surprised when they turn around and they don't kind of like reach that fucking
instantly.
Exactly. So it's been definitely a bit of a challenge just figuring out from like my aspect, like, okay, so we're bringing these two massive roles in. We want a CMO and then we want a business development manager as well, don't we? And essentially our vision is that these two guys, and they're going to essentially run the company. Business development is going to drive new business, and our CMO is going to capitalize on existing business that we already have, an opportunistic business as well. And yeah, without kind of like the right incentivizations, it's hard to get someone onto the right page of really wanting to grow your thing, because you have to understand, generally speaking, there's not going to be anyone as driven as the business owner to be able to grow a business. So finding a way to be able to instill that urgency and that kind of like drive and that passion for the business that you created is difficult, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we are. I think it's one of those things. I think you always presume, and we're a 9-man full-time team now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
9. Is it 9?
Yeah, I think it's 9.
You always presume when you start a business, no one teaches you this stuff. You always presume that when you hire somebody, you're going to be at double capacity. Never, right? Your capacity drops by at least 25%, and then their capacity is actually 60% of what you hoped it would be, because they can't fully be dedicated to the business in the same sense that you are, because it's not their business. So we kind of, over the years, have worked out a way that really every single person in our company is incentivized in some way, shape, or form for revenue, aren't they? Our ad specialists get a percentage of the revenue that they manage. CMO gets a percentage of the people underneath them as well. Actually, what we're trying to explore now, or what we have implemented very recently, is profit share with those large heads. Because, I mean, the way I see an agency, if you truly want to remove yourself from the business, which is ultimately the position that we want to be in. Ultimately, we want to build to sell the company as well, which we'll touch on. You need 3 fundamental roles in the business. You need a COO, which is a Chief Operating Officer, that manages the operations of the business, manages the team, manages the systemizations, clients, finances, all that stuff. You need a CMO, who's the Chief Marketing Officer, who manages all of the service delivery, and you need a Business Development Director, or Sales Director, whatever you want to call them. I prefer Business Development because it's more not just sales, it's kind of inbound, outbound, internal sales, and so on.
Partnerships, all that.
But those 3 people need to be incentivized in profit of the company. Definitely. They have to be incentivized for the overall growth of the company, not just their individual commission, because if not, they're never going to play entrepreneurial roles.
Exactly.
It's always going to be surface level.
Yeah,
they're still going to wake up every morning and just do the shit they need to do to make the money at the end of the month. They're not thinking about the overall business growth and the overall potential.
Yeah, exactly. You know? That's exactly right, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a question then.
Hit me.
So what's kind of like the biggest challenge over the last 2 years that you've found as CEO? Because obviously your responsibility as CEO is like paving the future for us and for the Affluent brand as a whole, basically. And I'd just love to get a bit of an insight into that. Like, where are we going? What's the plan?
Do you know, my biggest struggle over the last 2 years has been removing myself from the day-to-day operations of the business while still being involved in the direction and the vision and the movement and the overall kind of direction that we're moving as a company, and maintaining the entire team's trust that I'm still in the game. It's a really, really difficult thing. It's a very hard thing that I've had many long nights thinking about. And I think we're in a really nice place now. And I think it's really difficult because a lot of people start a business and a lot of people start an agency and they hire teams. And I see so many people that are at danger of this, of really killing their company culture, because they start a company, remove themselves somewhat from the kind of the day-to-day nitty-gritty, and then the team are managing the whole thing themselves, and then they're looking at that character like, what is this guy doing, going on holiday all the time, and so on. And so I think that's a really, really difficult place to pave, and I think the only reason I've been able to get away with that is because I'm literally working 12-hour days. I'm if it's not actually doing the shit, it's planning the shit, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that's been a really difficult thing to pave, both mentally and physically, and also, it's very hard to keep up with the direction of a company that you're not always constantly working in, you know? So I think that's why our relationship has been so great and so positive, and the agency wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for you. If I was in my position as I am right now without you, right? So, but the beauty of that is we speak every single day and we're constantly developing strategies and building things out together. Whereas if anybody who's watching this doesn't have a business partner, but does strive to be in a more CEO-based role, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you, Because if that person that you're working with, aka me and you, isn't a percentage owner of the business, like we're 50-50 down the middle, it's very fair, then it's going to be really lonely and also even more hard to keep the whole team acting as this camaraderie, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's company culture to an extent.
Company culture to an extent, but I suppose what I'm trying to say, without you pushing that as well, it would have been a very, very difficult thing to maintain.
Absolutely.
Hang on a second, I just want to add something here. Watching this back, I don't want this to get misconstrued. What I'm not saying is you absolutely need a business partner in your agency. What I am saying, though, is many people who start an agency want to have somewhat of a passive business. And I think that a good way for you to do that would be having a freelance plus business type model, where you have other people in your team who are freelancers as well. They have other side gigs, someone maybe in service delivery and someone in outreach. So all you're doing is spending your time taking sales calls. That's a pretty good lifestyle. That's relatively passive, right? But if you want to scale a 50, 100K a month agency with lots of full-time employees and you're gallivanting around the world not doing much work, it's going to be very hard to keep that team motivated. And so a business partner coming in and actually acting as the secondary face of the business will really help with that process, as it has helped with me when I've been exploring other business ventures and so on and so forth. So yeah, straight back to it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, you're in this quite like a juxtaposed position, aren't you? I guess with the agency, and obviously like these additional things that we're trying to explore, these additional businesses that we're trying to explore as well. It's like very hard to, I mean, talk about spreading yourself too thin. We've been there, and you know, we've dissolved a couple of companies already from that, haven't we?
It's like every time we meet, every time we have one of these quarterly meetings, we like run away with some big new concept, and we're like, and then it just takes us on this stray. But like we've got some out of that, we've learned some very valuable lessons, and I think one of the really nice things that we're going to be exploring very soon that we're pursuing is an internal brand, and I think that's a really exciting thing. As an agency that works with e-commerce brands, it makes sense for us to explore our own internal e-commerce brand. So we're actually starting a separate company where everybody in the company is actually going to own a slice of equity in that business, depending on how long they've been with the company, depending how deserving they are of it, based on their role. And we are going to start an internal e-commerce brand and use it as an example for, number one, training the entire company. Number two, incentivizing everybody to just build something magical and also make a lot of money, because we pride ourselves in the fact that we incentivize our team well and that we pay our team very well. But I want our guys to be earning way more, significantly more, way more than I think the agency can deliver to them alone.
Absolutely.
So I think that's quite exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see that ecom, that internal ecom brand as like as a huge opportunity to help our team members just become more and more embedded in the ecom, the branding world. I mean, they're working with ecom brands all the time, so it's like that shift in perspective of like, oh, now they're the owners, so they all of a sudden they have way more perspective, they have way more empathy for the brands that they're currently working with, which means that they'll be able to treat them with a higher level of respect, which means that presumably and hopefully that our service delivery will be on the rise because of that. So that's fucking exciting, and it also forces them to think about the true fundamentals of ecom, like the true fundamentals of building a brand, of like, is there a marketplace for it? How do you market that thing properly? What are the logistics? What's the the shipping, all that kind of stuff, and like, what's the long-term vision of brands?
It enables somebody to think who isn't necessarily entrepreneurial minded to start off with, to think as an entrepreneur. And I think that as an agency owner, the best thing that you can do to deliver an amazing service to your clients is put yourself in the shoes of the client. And how better to be in the shoes of the client than to become a client of your own agency. Awesome.
Absolutely.
And I think that is one of the really positive things about owning an e-com agency. But that's not to say there aren't a serious amount of negatives to going down that road. And I don't, like, I was talking about this over lunch with Joe earlier. Like, I think a lot of people idolize owning an e-commerce agency and take this with absolute concrete effect, that owning an e-commerce agency is without a doubt the most stressful agency that you could choose to own.
It can be the most rewarding, and it can be literally the most stressful thing in the fucking world.
It is the most volatile choice.
It's incredibly volatile.
Yes, it is incredibly volatile, especially we're coming into a very uncertain time. I've said this many times, if I was to start an agency from scratch again, we would probably start a high-ticket lead gen business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
We'd have a look at an industry that's trending. So, for example, I mean, let's say hypothetically, we're going into this recession. Okay, who are the people that are going to be capitalizing on this recession? Well, it's going to be like lawyers, it's going to be bankers, it's going to be like people trying to get like mortgages off people, like all that kind of stuff. So providing a service for the trend of that period of time, and then it's like, awesome, we could build that over 2 years, sell it, boom, done.
Yeah, 100%. We just before we jump into like the plan, the kind of the forecast that we've kind of built out today. On the note of like having e-commerce, like we've kind of really changed our sales build driver now, our acquisition system, you could say, for clients. Obviously, we've got a multitude of ways of getting clients, but our outbound system is really fully automated email now.
Yes, exactly,
which has been a very, very interesting journey as well.
Yeah,
January this year, we really implemented that system properly in full force, I would say, and smashed out.
It's really successful. It is really successful, yeah.
Smashing out like 200-300 emails a day we were originally, but then not really understanding the metrics to look out for when it came to automated email. And this is not to say for anyone, by the way, that when you're starting an agency, you should do automated email. The last thing that you should do when you start an agency is automated email. The absolute last thing that you should do. You should be starting with cold calling, you should be starting with DMs, you should be starting with email, and just
way more personalized outreach.
Exactly. I want to make this abundantly clear that the conversation that we are having today, we're talking about an agency that is 4 years in the making. That is, this is lots of this information is not to be applied to a new start agency at all. Okay, so massive caveat: please don't do what we are doing and try and replicate what we are doing right now, because it's not going to work for you yet. But with e-commerce, you have to use email. Email really is the best. Apart from inbound, inbound has to be the best platform. Through referrals, through Twitter system, and so on and so forth. Through events, through software partnerships, through agency partnerships, etc., etc. That's the forefront. But the only predictable way to scale is through outreach, right?
Absolutely,
So we've kind of gone through this whole system of working on Lemlist and then instantly, and really setting up a whole bunch of automated emails with a lot of personalization, which has been a very kind of bumpy road in making sure the lead quality is good and hiring a lead team. And now we have this team of we have appointment setters, we have lead generators, we have a business development manager who's then taking the emails and then booking calls and actually jumping on them. It's a very complex system, a system that you don't need in the majority of agencies who are working with other industries.
Building that system for a new start agency just wouldn't make any sense at all. No.
But it's bringing in what, like, I mean, we're getting...
Well, we've got a team to be able to handle that now. We built the system, of course, because that's what you do, and now we've been able to delegate it to the appropriate people in the team that now run that system, and that's fantastic. And I think the thing that makes that thing tick is, and this is why still personalized outreach is still the number one thing. It's like we tailor those emails on a month-to-month basis based on what's economics, media, news, all these kind of Black Friday. We launched an email for Black Friday a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, 10% response rate.
Yeah, 10% response rate. Exactly.
Banger.
It's just because it's on-trend marketing.
Yeah, but it's crazy because I speak to a lot of agencies. We've got a mastermind and so many people that came into that, and like they're already doing the automated email thing, and then they're like, oh, Jordan, but my response rate is like 2%, and yours is 8 on average. It was, now it's 10. And I'm like, okay, let me see your emails. Still completely unpersonalized. And I think that this applies to any agency. Like, you cannot expect the respect from anybody, especially if you do not know them, if you are not going to give them the respect to at least personalize your email.
Absolutely.
At least pretend to personalize your email, because that's actually what sales really is.
Of course.
We are fabricating a personalized email and mass marketing it. Okay, it's really just like a very simple. It's not handwritten, and so if we're doing that anyway, at least give them the fucking respect to mention something that's unique to them, and not just, oh, I love your products, the brand looks great, and blah blah blah. The generic drivel that you could say to absolutely anybody.
You've got to think the e-com brand or any business in the world who needs some sort of marketing will be getting these emails 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. So it's like, how on earth are you going to stand out from that? The best way is by personalization. It's actually doing a little bit of research on the company, looking at what they sell, actually taking an interest, personalizing that, and then putting it into a system and automating it. And that's where we see the best.
I think one of the things that we've really come to learn from that, some of the biggest lessons, without diving into that too much, because we could talk about this for a very long time, and I know this has already gone on for a while. So the people really respond to, in the e-commerce world at least, people respond to outreach for one main reason, and it's time. It's timing, and it's timing, and it's respect. I think if you have to give people the respect to personalize your email, and personalize your outreach, and make it tailored to them. That's absolutely very important. The majority of people that respond to us say, "I never respond to these emails, but ... You said this, you said that. This felt right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but."
Yeah.
If you don't do it personalized, you're not going to get that. But the main reason is that it's the right time.
Yeah.
There are so many people contacting companies every single day. Lots of these companies, and people say like, is social media marketing like saturated and so on and so forth? Absolutely fucking not. The e-commerce world, on the other hand, is pretty saturated right now. Right? That doesn't mean to say there isn't huge opportunity to grow there, because it's massive. We literally wouldn't be continuing to do this if the opportunity wasn't there. We would just move into a different industry. But the case is still true that the majority of people, when they respond to you and say, yes, I'll have a meeting with you, it's because you hit them at the right time.
Yeah.
They might have been having a conversation yesterday internally saying, oh, well, it's about time we started running ads, or we need to start doing something. And they've got agencies reaching out to them every single day, but for whatever reason, your email resonated with them at the right time on the right day. And that's the key. And so that's why with outreach, especially in the e-commerce world, and really in any kind of sales environment, when it comes to an agency, numbers is the game. It's the consistency over a lot of time. We haven't gone a day without reaching out to 200 businesses in months. I think we're doing 400 a day
and that's
now.
just to sustain an agency that's doing over 100K a month as well. Like that's the level that we're talking. I mean, and there's definitely, you're absolutely right. Like that numbers, that reliability of like, we reach out to this many numbers on this day, and that happens at all different levels of your agency. If that's 10 cold calls a day, if you're a brand new start agency, then that's the constant number that you need to hit to basically guarantee that you're going to get X amount of clients in per month, basically. You want to scale that up to a 100K a month agency, all right, 500 emails a day. And then, so however far you want to take it, basically. So that law of like staying consistent with the numbers on a daily basis is exactly what leads to success.
And that's what we have done so well from day one. I get asked all the time, what is the secret? How did you do this? People are looking for the magic answer.
Do more of the shit that actually works. Just do more of the stuff that works. Okay, it's worked. Let's do more of that stuff. That's it.
Someone said to me, Jordan, yesterday, Jordan, I know that outreach is the most important thing right now, and I should be doing outreach, but I'm just planning out what my onboarding system is going to be when I get a client. Do you think that's the right thing to do? I'm like, you literally answered your question by yourself. You know outreach is the most important thing to do. Your brain is literally built to feed on dopamine in any sense that it can get it. So if there's a lower hanging fruit that's easier to you, like twiddling around with some Notion board or figuring out Facebook ads, it's going to focus on that, right? The majority of people, the reality for the majority of agencies, and I can say this because I've been there and I have done it and I've seen it 1,000 times over. The reality is they do not and are incapable of sticking to just their basic daily outreach. The one thing that we have done, whether it's been 20 companies a day or 200 companies a day, is in the entire 4-year history of our agency, we have always been consistent in outreach. Which is literally our weapon against every other agency out there that cannot be fucking bothered because they're too lazy to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
And that's the secret sauce.
That's literally true.
You have to do the shit you don't want to do. Like you have to do the monotonous thing and earn the privilege to then outsource that. We've got an amazing appointment setting team, lead generators, a business development manager who takes this whole process, and it's incredible that we don't have to do that anymore. But we literally grafted for fucking years to earn that privilege. And then people then watch a video like this and they'll be like, oh wow, they're doing this automated email system. They haven't got one client yet. They're going to set up them list instantly. I guarantee someone will watch this video and they'll be like, right, I'm going to set up an automated email system. You've never even made a cold call, man.
Exactly, like it's a secret sauce. But that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone's looking, or I don't want to generalize people generally.
Of course, not everybody. But the majority
generally
of people
try and find some sort of secret or hack or some sort of fucking secret way of basically getting from here to here, like boom, like an overnight success. It doesn't happen. It's literally non-existent. The only thing that will get you there is the consistent numbers on a daily basis. And then it's like, okay, awesome, I've got some clients now, the churn rate's too high. What can I consistently do on a daily basis to make sure that my client's NPS score is improved so that they'll stay with us for a longer period of time? Okay, awesome, what other metrics falling down? Okay, what can I consistently do on a daily basis to help that other metric? Boom, you've got a solid agency. That's it.
Well, there's that quote that most people, it's something like this, most people overestimate what can be accomplished in 3 months, but underestimate what can be accomplished in 3 years. It's consistency over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
and
all it is.
I want to add to this as well, by the way. It's so much easier when you know a system that's worked and you can copy it and you can follow it.
Yeah.
That's why the shit that we produce, and I'm so proud of kind of the IP that we build in the agency for fucking our academy members and now the mastermind members as well, that we're literally just taking these systems that we've worked on for
and plugging and playing.
And literally plugging it in. And all they have to do is make sure that they do the consistent numbers and that's it.
It's so easy to look
awesome.
at like the outreach system that we're using right now and be like, oh, that's easy, I'm going to replicate that.
Yeah.
But not actually see how many times we jumped on a call and said, what the hell is
what is
going wrong
on?
right now? Why is this not working? Why is no one
Exactly.
responding? Why am I getting all of these weird clients responding? Why is the lead quality so low? What is this filter that I should put for the lead generation guys? How do I manipulate it? How the quality? It's there's so many little micro nuances that nobody can possibly teach you until they've gone through that process themselves.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm glad we are on the other end of that, which is why now we've got Ethan coming on board next week, our business development manager, who's literally going to be taking over our entire sales process. We poached him from a Google Ads agency that went from 20 employees when he first started working with them to 200 employees.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't envy them one bit. Just put it out there. Do not want to.
No wonder he's fucking moving back to us.
He wants a simple life. So do I. So that's going to be absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to nurture him in that role, and it's just going to be an exciting journey. But that has kind of led us on to now we're kind of really piecing those final pieces of the puzzle together for within the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully 3 is the target, to exit the agency and get a really nice sale from the agency and hopefully sell for 15 million or so. And that's the plan, and that's the goal, and that's what we'd like to work towards. And I know that we can achieve that just literally doing the little daily consistent things that we are already doing. We just need more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
Nice, man.
Nice, bro. I like it.
Cool. All right.
Very cool.
Nice. Well,
Cool.
this has
Good,
been
that
fun.
was a good catch-up, actually, wasn't it?
That was not a bad
We've not
catch-up.
spoken in fucking 2 years.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Yeah, wicked. Love
Nice.
that. I've got nothing else.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to, mate.
See you
Cool.
later, guys.
Yeah.